Hey guys, I'm Aditya Thakur and welcome to another video in our Python playlist. In this video, we will take up the string data type. We have previously covered variables in Python and also taken up data types. We did numbers in the last video, and in this video, we'll get started with strings. Uh, this video would be an introduction type. We'll check out the different functions that we can use, and we'll take up substrings and everything else in the next video. So let's get started. Before that, a quick introduction about Newton School. Newton School is a platform which prepares you for your career in tech. It has courses designed for freshers, working professionals, and also for women with no tech background. Newton School first trains you for 6 months and helps you become a full stack developer. It has a network of 300 great companies who hire from Newton School. So once the training is done, it also ensures that the students are placed in the best companies in our country. And the best part is that Newton School has a pay after placement program, so you do not have to pay until and unless you are placed with a minimum 5 lakh CTC. So Newton School has the Launchpad, which is an initiative taken by them to help people who want to start coding from scratch and learn the basics of different programming languages for absolutely free of cost. So this video would also be available on the Launchpad section, and you can practice several quizzes and assignments related to this course. So let's get started with Python strings. Strings store data, as in they store text, characters, and all that stuff. Let's first go over to the newtonschool.co website and get to our IDE where we would be writing code. If you haven't already, you can quickly sign up, or if you have an account, so you can just log in. I do have an account, so I'll go ahead and log in to my account, and this should take some time. We have previously used strings as in when we did our first Hello World program. So we wrote Hello World as a string, and in this video we'll take them up at length. So once you are inside your ID, once you are logged in, you want to go over to your playground, and in this go over to the algorithm playground, and you can create a new one or you can go to an existing one. I'll just create a new playground for the purpose of this video. Once we are inside the playground, you'll see an interface like this where you can write code, also give some input and get a output or an error depending on the code that you wrote. Before getting started, we need to select the compiler. So since we are working with Python, we would be using the Python version 3. I'll go with Python 3.8.1 and let's get started. So we saw, like, when writing our first program, strings are basically characters. Jैसे we have Aditya, so it's a name, it's a string, and like this we can add other characters to it. It would still be a string, and I can just go ahead and print it, right? If I run this now, it should show Aditya and the number into the output console. So that these are basically strings. You can put anything between these brackets, as in let's go with some dollars, and let's try to print this to console. There we have it, right? So these are strings. There are multiple applications to them, but writing single quotes, as in writing with just single quotes, or replacing these single quotes with double quotes, is the same. Yep, even if I run it now, it would have the same output. And you can use both single as well as double quotes. So you might ask, like, why should I use double quotes if there is a string like you have to write, right? So it should work fine with double quotes, but if you were using single quotes, let's say in this given example, so what would happen, your string would just end here, and the rest part of it wouldn't be considered a string, which would give you an error. So that is the problem. That is when you can use the double quotes. And that is about it. You can assign a multi-line string to a variable by using 3 quotes or 3 single quotes. And how it's done is basically we use 1, 2, 3, and let's say, so this should have the big paragraph, and let's just end it here. So now let's try running it. So yeah, so you'll see, like, if we use 3 single quotes, we can assign like a multi-line or a bigger paragraph to a variable, and it should get printed like that. And that was basically the introduction. Strings are basically arrays. They are arrays of byte representing Unicode characters. So Python doesn't have a character type. If you are familiar with other programming languages, as in Java or C, in Java we have like char, which can store just a single character, as in it could be a single character, A, B, C, D, anything. And Python doesn't have that. Python does not have a character data type. A single character is simply a string with length 1. So if you just assign to a variable A, it would be a string with the length 1. And we can like perform other operations that we can do on an array. I think I haven't. If you are just new to programming in general, so you wouldn't know what an array is. Arrays are like we have talked about variables in the past. So if I keep the same variable name, I can use like a different subscript to represent the different elements. So since strings are arrays, we can access the first element using some of the basic operations that we can do on array. So let me just modify it back to what we had. And now if I put square brackets around it and run this program now, what it should do is it will print the element D. Now how this works is basically arrays are having same variable name. So we have talked about variables in the past. Variables were basically boxes that you gave a name to. So this was a variable. And what happens in an array is we have multiple boxes with the same name, as in there would be, let us say, like 4 boxes. So these all would have the same name, but they would use like a different subscript to denote them. So this subscript is the like the differentiating factor between these variables. So these are different variables that you have. And for the given example that I have taken, like I've taken Aditya, but let's just take a 4-digit word. So here it would be Aditya. In the second box there would be D, then I, and then lastly T. So this is how my string is being stored. It has the same variable name. The variable name that we are using is name. So all these boxes have same variable name, but the subscript, the number that we would use in the square brackets, is the differentiating factor. So if someone says, like with the variable name, if someone puts in 0, so my compiler would access the first element, that is A. Similarly, if someone puts in 1, so it would go to D, then 2, and then 3. I hope you get the point, right? So we have 0, 1, we have 0 here, 1 and 2, and then 3. So that is how it works. The length of array starts from 1. In that case, this box would be 1. But if you are talking about storage, or if you are talking about accessing elements, then this is at 0. So these concepts we would take up in the future when we come back to arrays, or when we take up lists in Python, then it would be better understood. But for now, the point is that D is at 1. So if you'll put in here 0, it would return A. And yeah, as you can see, it returned A. So strings are basically arrays, and you can access each element by giving it a number, as in using the subscript. So inside the square brackets, you can specify the number at which you want to access the character, and that is about it. So the next part is, since strings are arrays, we can also loop through the characters in string with the for loop. How you can do that is basically we'll write for x in Aditya, print x. Okay, so we haven't covered for loop also, but it is a type of loop, as in it would go one by one through each of these elements. What happens is, we are using the x variable, so first it would print out the first element in our array. Like we have here, it printed out A, then it would go to the second element D and print it out, then I, then print it out T, and so on. So we can, since it is an array, we can loop through the array simply. We can print each of these elements, and then we come to like the functions that we have, as in we can use the Python string length function to return the length of the string. So let us say, like, there is this string that I have. I'll again take back my name, and I want to know what is the length of this string. So I can use the length function. So how that works is, I'll type in len and give it the variable name, so it will return me the length of that string. And as you can see, it has 13 characters, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12, and it is also counting this one space that I have put in between my name. So the length function basically counts all the characters as well as spaces, so it's returning 13. And then is the check string. So we can also check, like, if there is a particular phrase or a particular text, present inside the string that we have. We can use the in keyword. How this works is, like, if I'll modify the given string and come back to my print statement, I can simply type in the string that I want to search in, and if I run this program now, it should return true. So true and false is of Boolean type. It basically means that whatever we had searched for, as in the best string, is present in the given string, so it returned true. If it was not present, as in, let us say, like, fast, so it returned false. Fast is not present in our given string, and that is why it returned false. Now, if you want to check for a phrase that is not present, let us say, like, if you want to, like, I'll take the example, these courses are the best, right? And let us check if paid not in name. If I run this now, it should return true. So I mean, these courses are the best and they are not paid at all, so it returns true. You can access them from for free. And that was basically how you use in keyword and the not in keyword in Python. And for this video we will only cover that, so thank you so much. We have only taken up the basics, as in we first looked at what are strings, then we saw like how strings are arrays, which I have taken up with an example. They have the same variable name, just the subscripts are different. So these concepts of arrays and all would be clearer once we go to lists in Python, and you would be better able to visualize that. If you haven't already, you can subscribe the channel to be notified whenever that video comes out. But then we looked at the basic functions, as in length to get the length, not in and in keyword to know if a particular string is present inside your given string, and looping through a string we saw how to print each element of the string. So that is about for this video. We will take up substrings and other aspects of working with strings in Python in the next video. So do subscribe the channel and also hit the notification bell icon. Thank you so much for watching.